Somewhere in Las Vegas, on the night of August 8th, 2014, a door opened. It wasn't kicked in, it wasn't broken down, it opened quietly with a key. The man holding that key had been told, explicitly and repeatedly, that the relationship was over. He had nodded. He had seemingly accepted it. He had shaken hands with the concept of moving on. But he hadn't moved on at all. Inside that apartment was a woman who had finally found the immense courage required to leave a monster, and a friend she had started the long process of healing with. Two people were asleep, completely unguarded, totally unaware of what was standing in the darkness of their hallway. What happened next didn't look like a sudden flash of anger. It didn't look like a momentary loss of control. It was a systematic, brutal, 2-hour assault. By the time it was done, she had 12 teeth knocked completely out of her skull. Her jaw was shattered. Her kidney was ruptured. Her liver was damaged. Her ribs were cracked. Her body was covered in deep bite marks, lacerations, and bruises that emergency room doctors would spend hours documenting in absolute disbelief. She survived by the barest margin, crawling out of a ground floor window, bleeding onto the pavement, and screaming into the desert night until a neighbor finally heard her. The man responsible didn't confess. He didn't panic. Instead, he took to social media to frame himself as the victim. His name was Jonathan Koppenhaver, but the world knew him by a far more accurate and chilling name: War Machine. And here is the most disturbing part of this entire story. It isn't the graphic violence, the terrifying rage, or the courtroom verdict. It's the fact that almost everyone who knew him, watched him fight, followed him online, or signed a corporate check with his name on it, saw this coming from miles away. And nobody stopped it. To truly understand the monster Jonathan Koppenhaver became, you have to understand the fragile, crumbling foundation he was handed at birth. November 30th, 1981, Simi Valley, California. A tidy, postcard-perfect suburb tucked just outside the chaos of Los Angeles. The kind of town where people moved specifically to escape the grit of the city. Clean sidewalks, decent schools, manicured lawns that practically screamed to the world that everything inside was perfectly fine. Jonathan was the oldest of 3 children. His father was an LAPD officer, the embodiment of discipline, structure, and authority. He went to work in a crisp uniform and came home carrying an intimidating presence. His mother had trained as a professional nurse, a career dedicated entirely to healing others, before stepping away to raise the family. From the outside, the Koppenhaver household looked like the blueprint of American stability. But stability, as we learn again and again in true crime, is often just a very thin layer of paint over rotting wood. After the birth of their youngest child, a profound shift occurred in Jonathan's mother. A quiet, heavy darkness crept in, what we would recognize today as severe, untreated postpartum depression, rapidly spiraling into something far more destructive. She began to drink, slowly at first, then privately, then constantly. Jonathan's father buried himself in work, long shifts, endless overtime, the kind of aggressive career dedication that can quietly double as a perfect excuse to avoid a household that is actively collapsing. And behind those closed doors, things were disintegrating at speed. By the time Jonathan was 10 years old, his mother had stopped functioning as a parent entirely. So a 10-year-old Jonathan picked up the pieces. He cooked. He helped his younger siblings with their homework. He kept the house clean. He made sure there was food in the fridge. He checked his mother's pulse to make sure she was still breathing. Then came the night that broke his psychological foundation permanently. Jonathan was 13 when his father suffered a sudden, massive cardiac emergency right there in the house. His younger siblings froze in terror. His mother was completely incapacitated. There was no one else. So 13-year-old Jonathan dialed 911. He dropped to his knees next to his father. He performed frantic chest compressions, desperate techniques learned from television dramas, doing everything a boy could humanly do with shaking hands to keep his hero alive. His father died on that floor before the paramedics arrived. Jonathan never stopped carrying that ghost, and what came next only hardened his worldview further. No authorities intervened. No child protective services arrived. No family members stepped in. The children were left in that home, surviving on the savings and life insurance their father had left behind, while their mother funneled what remained into feeding her addiction. Jonathan, still barely a teenager, became the head of that household in every way that mattered. And deep in the unprocessed wreckage of his childhood, an absolute consuming rage began to take root. What makes this case genuinely complex is what Jonathan initially did with that rage. He channeled it. Despite everything at home, he showed up to school and excelled. His teachers consistently described him as one of the sharpest students in the building. Quick thinking, driven, with a natural intellect his circumstances had failed to dull. He graduated high school with strong grades, enrolled at Dixie State University majoring in biology, held down jobs, and supported his siblings. And he found combat sports. For Jonathan, the gym wasn't exercise. It was a sanctuary with rules. A place where his aggression had legal boundaries, where his explosive intensity had a structured outlet. He trained obsessively across wrestling, striking, and Brazilian jiu-jitsu. His coaches recognized something rare immediately. This kid didn't just want to win. He wanted to dismantle whoever was in front of him. By 19, he had decided he was going to compete professionally. He auditioned for Season 6 of The Ultimate Fighter, the UFC's reality competition that blended elite combat sports with volatile house drama. He was rejected in the initial casting round, but when an injury forced one fighter out before filming, producers went back through their files and pulled a name they remembered: Koppenhaver. The format was a psychological pressure cooker. 16 fighters, one house, no phones, no internet, zero contact with the outside world. Every week, one fight. Lose, and you pack your bags. The last man standing walks away with a UFC contract. Jonathan walked into that house and became must-watch television instantly. He was confrontational, unpredictable, loud, and completely devoid of a social filter. While other fighters managed tension to stay focused on training, Jonathan manufactured chaos, picking fights over food, sleeping arrangements, and casual remarks. The drama fed a hunger in him that even the gym couldn't satisfy. Audiences were transfixed. They didn't root for him, most despised him, but they couldn't look away. He was eliminated before the finale, but he walked out with more visibility than the men who actually won the tournament. His professional UFC career launched immediately. 19 fights, 14 victories, a Knockout of the Night award. War Machine was no longer just a nickname. He had realized it was a brand.
This is exactly where the story stops being about a troubled youth finding salvation in sport and starts exposing a deeply disturbing societal pattern. Because every system that should have caught Jonathan Koppenhaver looked directly at the violent warning signs in front of them and actively chose to keep cashing the checks. September 22, 2007, Jonathan is arrested for felony assault in San Diego. The trigger? A verbal argument over a parking space. He beat a complete stranger completely unconscious on concrete. But what he said to the media afterward is what you need to hear. He didn't apologize. He said he had done the man a favor because as a professional fighter, he could have killed him, but chose only to knock him out. In 2008, Jonathan made his persona legally permanent. He walked into a courthouse and legally changed his name. Not a ring name, not a pseudonym. His legal, government-issued identity became War Machine. More assault arrests followed. Bars, clubs, parking lots, each one a variation of the same pattern. In August 2010, a violent nightclub brawl landed him in jail for over 2 years. He was classified as high risk. He spent most of his sentence in solitary confinement because even inside prison, he could not stop assaulting people. Yet the minute he walked out of prison, the MMA world was waiting. A contract. a fight card. In his own videos, he openly admitted he had a dangerous problem that when the switch flipped, he couldn't stop himself. Tens of thousands of fans liked and shared. No one stopped to realize they were applauding a ticking time bomb searching for a fuse. This is the sealed verdict on the system. The warning signs were never hidden. They were broadcast, liked, and monetized. Before we step into the events of August 8, 2014, we need to stop. We need to talk about who Christine McKinney was. Because this story is too often told entirely through his name, his crimes, his trial. She deserves to be seen as a whole, complete human being. Christine, known professionally as Christy Mack, built a massive platform, won major industry awards, and opened her own clothing boutique from scratch. She was completely self-made, financially secure, and answerable to no one. She met War Machine in 2013 during a joint photo shoot. To the public, they looked like an edgy, powerful couple. But behind that filtered image, Christine was living in a nightmare. The control was total and immediate. He monitored her phone. He interrogated her about who liked her posts. And very quickly, the psychological control mutated into physical terror. He choked her, not once, but multiple times. Her mother witnessed it and begged Christine to leave that same night. Once, during an argument in the car, War Machine aimed the vehicle at a concrete wall and screamed he would kill them both. Christine physically wrestled the steering wheel to save their lives. She tried to leave multiple times. Each time, he pulled her back. She endured not out of weakness, she stayed because she was calculating the cost of leaving the wrong way. Finally, in April 2014, she told him it was definitively over. He nodded calmly and walked away. In the psychology of an abuser, that absolute calm is never peace. It is the eye of the storm. 4 months passed. Christine began to breathe again. She started seeing someone new, Corey Thomas. She was healing. She was smiling again. On the night of August 8, 2014, Corey was staying at her Las Vegas apartment. It was past 2:00 a.m. The house was completely quiet. They were asleep. The front door clicked open. War Machine had kept a spare key. He moved through the dark apartment, down the hallway, and stepped into the bedroom. What came next was immediate and savage. Without a single word, he launched himself and began beating Corey with his full professional force. He pinned him down and locked in a choke. Christine watched in horror as Corey began to lose consciousness. She threw herself into it to save his life. War Machine released his grip on Corey. He grabbed him by the hair, looked him dead in the eyes, and delivered a single, chilling ultimatum. Get out. Tell no one, or I will come back and finish you. Corey fled into the night. He did not call the police. What followed over the next 2 hours is a matter of extensive medical and judicial record. He beat her continuously. He used his professional training as a weapon against someone with no ability to defend herself. By the time he stepped away, her nose was broken. Her jaw was shattered in multiple places. 12 teeth knocked completely out. Broken ribs, a ruptured kidney, liver damage, a severe concussion, bite marks and lacerations across her entire body. He believed she had lost consciousness and stepped away. That was his only mistake. Christine McKinney crawled across the floor to the bedroom window, pushed it open with what strength she had left, and dropped herself out onto the ground below. Ground floor apartment. She survived the fall. She screamed. Neighbors rushed out. Someone dialed 911. War Machine was gone for a week. Then, on August 15, 2014, he surfaced on social media posting his account of events, framing himself as the one who had been wronged. Authorities traced his signal. He was arrested within hours. While awaiting trial in custody, he fashioned a noose from a bedsheet and attempted to take his own life. Guards intervened. At trial, his defense presented his childhood in careful, sympathetic detail. The lapped father who died on the floor while his 13-year-old son tried to save him. The mother lost to addiction. The years of unguided trauma. Every word of it was true, and not a single word of it was enough. On February 15, 2017, Jonathan Paul Copenhaver War Machine was found guilty on all counts. The sentence: life in prison, with the possibility of parole after 36 years. He will be eligible to walk out of that prison at the age of 71. Christine McKinney did not survive because the system protected her. She survived because she had the strength to crawl across a floor, push open a window, and scream into the night until someone finally listened. She deserved far better than that. And the fact that survival required that much from her, that is the verdict that should make all of us permanently uncomfortable. That is the case of War Machine, a story not just about one man's violence, but about every hand that steadied the ladder he climbed, and every voice that stayed silent when it mattered most. Christine McKinney has spoken publicly since the trial. She has become a powerful voice in domestic violence advocacy. Her strength before, during, and after August 8th is extraordinary. If this case moved you, if it made you angry in the right direction, share this video. Subscribe to Sealed Verdict. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one. Every case on this channel gets the judgment it deserves. I'll see you in the next verdict.